Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the Better Business Analysis podcast with your host, Benjamin Walsh. And today we are going to be talking about a topic that unfortunately is a little bit uncomfortable for myself and maybe for some of you who strongly wear the BA t-shirt or wave the BA flag. And that is from requirements to product ownership, why more BAs are making the switch. There is a major shift happening in our industry. And it is resulting in a lot of more business analysts transitioning to the product owner role. So if you're a BA wondering what your next career move might be because of the market, or you're just curious why this shift is happening, this episode is for you.
The Better Business Analysis Institute
presents the Better Business Analysis podcast with
Benjamin Walsh.
Not too long ago, the business analyst was the go-to person for bridging the gap between IT and business. We talk about this often. We wrote business requirements documents, we ran stakeholder workshops, and we made sure developers had clear specifications to build from and testers could know what to test. But enter Agile, and Agile changed everything. And even though Agile is kind of died in some ways or been absorbed, we are now left with this tricky conversation about product owner role. So, this is more than just a shift from the traditional waterfall project. I don't believe BAs were there. So we had, the bank wants to launch a mobile app in the old model. BA would spend months gathering requirements, writing the documentation, handing it off to developers. 6 months fast forward, and by the time the app is ready, the customer might change their requirements. And then in Agile, there was no 6-month wait. The product owner consistently worked with developers, adjusting priorities, ensuring that each sprint was delivering real value instead of an intermediary. The PO or the product owner is in the trenches making product decisions on the fly. Now, the reality is most BAs are doing the product owner role as well as the upfront requirements, right? Are doing both of those things. That's what I see on a daily basis. But the bigger the company or the bigger the country, the more specialization that's happening. There is a shift, which means that the business aren't really interested in the value of BA or upfront requirements. And they're more about people making product decisions. Okay, and this is an important discussion here. And it isn't the fact that they don't value the skills that a BA brings, but there is a bit of a shift between BAs being asked to step into the product delivery focus. And that is kind of where we're finding more BAs on the scale is tipping towards that. And this is what I would say traditional product BAs. So number one, I guess, is that there is a skills match, right? So BAs make great POs. I know this. BAs coming from a BA background, they make much better product owners than those who are SMEs or just coming from the business. So some people think of moving from a BA to a PO as a massive leap. Not at all. BAs already have 80% of those skills to succeed as a product owner. And I would say that the BA role is a greater role than a PO. There is a Venn diagram, so you don't get all the skills if you just are a BA. But let's break it down. A BA in a product owner role needs both understanding requirements. They need to understand stakeholder needs. They need to manage a backlog. They need to understand what the business wants and what business value is. They need to translate the business need into technical work like user stories, refining those stories, prioritizing them. No one just does solution requirements anymore. They need to manage competing requirements and priorities, business goals, technical feasibility, logic, and user need. And POs need to do the same thing, but with more authority over the backlog. And this is where the PO role is shifting or making it clearer that BAs need to have authority. So it's chilling out roles and responsibilities a bit more clearer for what BAs didn't have historically. And now the PO, though, has got a thanks to Agile and Agile Manifesto, it's chiseled out roles and responsibilities. And obviously you need to communicate with devs, developers, and architects, and BAs must explain requirements, and POs must be able to do that as well. And there's some really bad POs who just don't get down to user stories, or then outsource to a junior BA to do their user stories and acceptance criteria. And when I say PO here, I mean a capital P, capital O, being a product owner who does all those things well and isn't outsourcing anything. So the key difference is that a BA delivers insights, and that's the world I live in, and a PO delivers decisions about a product. So you will be walking away from business insights to product insights. And that just sadly is just where BAs are going. And I say sadly, but actually it's just an evolution. So let's take an example of a real world transition here. So let's take Emma. She's a former BA at an e-commerce company. This is a great example. It's around the company and context. She gets frustrated because their requirements are often ignored by developers. So when the company decided to adopt Agile, she volunteered to take on backlog management, and within 6 months, she transitioned to a product owner role. And now she is the one deciding what gets built next. So that's quite the decision maker here. For many BAs, becoming a PO is less about learning a new job and more about stepping up as a decision maker, as opposed to a BA who's not a decision maker. Okay, I hope you understand the difference there. And the other thing I'm finding in the market, I'm sure other people have views here, is that it gives you that more influence. There's actually probably now, on average, for those who are not kind of strategic BAs, more pay and maybe more opportunity. So that's the elephant in the room, and it might be the money. So moving from a BA, and this isn't always the case, a Xero, a massive financial company, pays their BAs much more than their POs, but that's because their BAs are doing strategy work, so not product BAs, and their POs are doing product work. So there might be just a financial growth for you. So a mid-level BA might earn between 80,000 and 110,000. This is US really. And a product owner might be more in the upper quarter from 100 to 130. Okay. And then of course there is a transition from senior product owner to product manager. And that's a fun 150 mark, right? In heavy tech industries. So that is making it clear about where we go. And that brings me to the career trajectory. A lot of BAs, you finish at senior or you become maybe a business architect. But a product owner has a very clear transition to head of product, chief product officer, you know what I mean? Product manager. And if it's in a tech company, maybe even CEO. So that's more than a traditional BA role can give you. So companies want leaders who think strategically, right? And if you're a tangible strategy is what I like to say. So sometimes, even though BAs are more strategic in terms of a business sense, if you're tangibly strategic and linked to a product, then a PO may have a serious advantage by showing the value through the product they're delivering, right? And I guess we need to talk about that transition. So if you're a BA and you want to make the jump to PO, and I don't see it as a jump up, it's a jump sideways, here's what you need to do. You need to start thinking about customer value, product management influences, and business impact for the product. And so it is more wrapping around the product and outcome, not the project. You need to think about the features in terms of why a good PO will. And you need to move away from any form of kind of the upfront documentation. Still needs to be done. You can't just leave a gap. But you might say, I'm going to become the product owner and I'm more than happy having an enterprise BA going across and giving me some insights across the top. So that will allow you to transition. It's more around understanding technology as well. You need to get hands-on with the backlog management. So you need to live and breathe Jira, DevOps, Trello. And if you're not really using these tools, you need to start using them. You need to volunteer to manage the backlog through a project. And you need to explain you can't necessarily do your old BA job forever because you're a PO now. If your company is launching a new feature or very product related, then that provides a huge opportunity for you to move into a PO role. And you need to really understand product knowledge. So MVP, A/B testing, product analytics, all the product management stuff, Google Analytics, you know what I mean? And that will make you 10 times more valuable as a PO. You can become a certified Scrum product owner. I am one of those. And that's probably the best transitional certificate you can get. So my closing thoughts on this topic is there is a shift in the market from BAs to product ownership, and not as a career, as a sideways career and mind shift away. And it's really saying you have the foundations to do this role and you're moving towards the product world. And those who are left in the BA world may be evolved into strategic business analysts. If you were to move all product BAs out of kind of the realm of business analysis. And this is where and the institution is different to the IABA, who of course push for this all being under the BA umbrella. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, share it with your fellow BAs, and keep pressing the boundaries and pushing hard of what's possible. I'll see you next week.